Donald Trump and Vice President Mike Pence went down to Dallas today to speak at the NRA annual meeting. And, well, it seems like President Trump was more interested in talking about a lot of things beyond gun rights, from the Mueller probe to tax cuts to voting in midterm elections. President Trump covering an entire spectrum of political topics, even finding kinship with the people in Texas in the history of being defined. In fact, his speech sounded more like a campaign rally than anything else. Here now to discuss, David Webb, Fox News contributor, Sirius XM Patriot host, along with Kimberly Klacik, potential me executive director, Republican Central Committee candidate for Baltimore County, and back with us, Katrina Pearson. Dave, let me start with you. I love the story, right, that he gave of Gonzales, Texas, 1835. You got a small town. Santa Ana comes and says, you guys got to give up that small cannon. They say, take it. Come take it from us. You know, I mean, that sort of defiance, I think, President Trump is essentially saying that people told him don't go to the NRA meeting. They told him don't run for president. They said don't, everything that everyone's told him not to do, he's essentially defied them like the folks did back then against Santa Ana.
Yeah, I got to tell you, maybe they should make his theme song instead of "You Can't Always Get What You Want," "Against All Odds." Let's go back to the 80s. You know, the president hit on a lot of themes that matter because NRA members, just like every other American, care about many issues, kitchen table issues. The only thing he didn't tell Charles was the story of Juan Seguin and why we have Texas. It was a fight with Mexicans and Americans against a brutal dictator. And that points to where we are today in America. We're fighting back against the overlordship of the federal government and a government and a cozy bureaucracy that has not worked for the best interests of the American people. That's why Donald Trump is president.
Right.
Now comes the real battle to keep the victories going and to bring us to the point of giving American people more than just tax cuts, more than just low unemployment, strong national defense. Look at where we are. We've changed. America, as Mike Pompeo said, we've got our swagger back.
You know, Kimberly, speaking of, bureaucracies and these, you're running for office in Baltimore, Maryland, right? Yeah. So that's an uphill battle for any Republican candidate in my mind, but it's also perhaps the best place to try to turn things around because that's a town that fell off, that's lost its way a long time ago.
Absolutely, and that's why I started with Central Committee, because I would want to get out there and speak to the people about the issues and what their concerns are. I think President Trump did a great job today. I love that he touched on so many parts that's even just going on in the government and also just in the media in general. Not too long ago, I remember when the Black Panther Party was fighting for our rights to open carry and to have guns, to battle police brutality. And here we are hearing the left wanting to take away that right, that Second Amendment. Often we hear about how Republicans are always trying to take rights, especially women's rights. But is this not taking away rights or even trying to come against us in some kind of way?
All right, great point. By the way, President Trump also got some good news via a federal judge in a Paul Manafort case who made some interesting observations about special counsel Mueller. Let's take a listen to what Trump had to say.
Judge T.S. Ellis, who is really something very special, I hear from many standpoints. He's a respected person. Suggested the charges before the U.S. District Court for the Eastern District of Virginia were just part of the Mueller team's designs to pressure Mr. Manafort into giving up information on President Donald Trump or others in the campaign. I've been saying that for a long time. It's a witch hunt.
So the audio is a little messed up there, but Katrina, essentially, this judge was suggesting that this special counsel has really taken too much power or has too much power, and he summed it up by saying, come on, man, this is ridiculous.
Well, absolutely. I mean, the judge simply stated what everybody else is thinking. It's pretty obvious what is happening here. It is absolutely a witch hunt. There was no Russia collusion. Nothing that they're doing even has anything to do with Russia collusion. And the fact that the scope is so wide tells you exactly what the judge said, that they're just looking for something to get to Trump. This was about looking for impeachment and somehow trying to hurt the president of the United States.
Speaking of which, we've got President Trump coming off Air Force One now. He's at Joint Base Andrews. Again, another very busy day for President Trump, who, by all accounts, had an extremely successful speech down there at the NRA. You know, David, as President Trump descends the Air Force One, I do want to ask you, though, Did he speak enough about the Second Amendment? Did he go far enough with respect to some of the things he had talked about after the last shooting in his country and some of the changes he would like to see to some of our laws?
Well, I think the president's taken a political middle road on this. And I realize that, you know, the president's got to walk a very careful line here not to inflame and create another argument. So I think he said enough. I wish he'd gone a little bit further on something that does matter, and that is concealed carry reciprocity. We have got to change the culture of criminalizing law-abiding Americans, hundreds of millions of law-abiding Americans who frankly just want to exercise their rights however they see fit. And I think that's something that we need to get back into this conversation. That will resolve a lot of the criminalizing of people just going from state to state.
Right. Thank you all very much. Meanwhile, the war